Banks. My natural disaster was the 1991 Halloween nor'easter storm. Sebastian Junger created a novel based off this true story, and he also created a movie. Today I will talk to you about the actual events. Interagency coordination. Most of the agencies work together. You had the counties, state, FEMA, private companies such as construction companies, and nonprofit organizations. An example of these, the mayors use the information given to them by the federal and state to allow the citizens to be knowledgeable about assistance programs. Another example of private companies was Puerto Rico. Many people were giving shelter by nonprofit organizations. One of the local governments installed a hydrant at either end of the bridge to provide potable water and fire protection. Command and control was provided by local government, state, and FEMA, national government. Mayor Bruce Toby stated that he applied that most of the people should apply for federal and state disaster assistance. Most of the states did not declare a state of emergency. However, Massachusetts was one of the biggest states that did. Some of the counties that are included in federal disaster counties would be Barnstable, Dukes, Nantucket, Plymouth, Norfolk, etc. Communications. One of the ways of communication was called the warning systems. It was established communication link between automation of field operations and service, which is called the AFOS, and Massachusetts Criminal Justice Information Systems, which is CJIS. This transferred information quickly to hundreds of local and state emergency management directors. In the case of the crew on the Andrea Gale swordfish that went missing, the boat was declared missing by the boat owner, also by another local boat that received transmitted from them earlier that day before the hurricane hit. The first out was the Canadian Coast Guard, which also alerted the U.S. Coast Guard. So they worked together, formed communication through their Coast Guard transmitters, and they were aware of each other's locations. They searched for this boat for almost 7 days, and they continued to search, but it was documented in newspapers that it was mostly 7 days of hundreds and thousands of miles over the sea. Communications with public, which citizen notification. An example of that would be North Branford flood warning system. It's an installation of voice and siren systems to be located in areas throughout the town to alert residents on river flooding and other possible dangers. Another example would be Milford. There was a coastal warning system, public address systems, and place cards showing mean sea level heights will be mounted on existing utility poles to announce implementing floods and expected heights to announce evacuations and instruct on safe evacuation routes. This was letting this particular city local government know where to go for safety, how to evacuate, and this was during the aftermath of the hurricane. Media relations. Most of the media came from radio transmitters, weather stations, newspapers such as the local newspapers, also as well as the New York Times and national newspapers, but not as much as the local newspapers that those states and cities and local governments that were affected by the storm. Um, Television news channels, uh, mostly locally and nationally. The town was equipped with radio transmitters at several key locations in the town for emergency use during a hurricane or other disasters. Radio transmitters weather station project was also consists of purchase and placement of weather station local recording center on an existing tower to provide improved local real-time weather data to be used in preparing for and responding to the national hazard. Training and education, which was very important for these local cities because most of disaster destroyed most of their real property. Massachusetts Coastal Hazard Mitigation and Emergency Regulations was an example of these programs. It produced and distributed brochures that explain Massachusetts coastal policies, hazard mitigation, and emergency storm regulations. The City of Rochester and Stratford County Conservation District conducted an evening stream cleanup and protection workshop. The intent of the workshop was to address the proper method for stream improvement and maintenance to prevent flooding after the storm. Also, they developed and implemented a town-wide hazard mitigation, education, and code revision program. The program identified coastline and lowlands at risk, formulated a risk reduction program. It created an education and training program, and they revised various portions of the town code, policies, and practices. Mitigation measures would be the flood mitigation workshop, education and video project. This project was with the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Districts. Is doing education project consisting of 3 elements. One was to conduct 3 dam maintenance workshops. The second one would be produce pamphlets to promote flood mitigation. The third one was to produce a video of one of the workshops. All hazard mitigation planning grants was for qualified applicants for the development and the comprehensive all hazard mitigation plans. This grant was to assist with people with providing information and prevention of loss before the hurricane actually happened. Development of the harbor management plan to reduce boat damage was important to most of the coast because that was the way of life. Most of the coasts were fishermen and there was a lot of loss after the storm, but because of the mitigation plan, which was to implement standards and develop emergency evacuation plans and grid mapping, soils mapping, and hydrographic analysis in Marion and Dartmouth, Massachusetts harbors. This allowed more boats to be saved as well as occupations by those people who own those boats because of their way of life. This includes my presentation on the 1991 Norester Halloween storm. I hope you liked it. I hope you were informed, and I thank you for your time and your ears. Have a great day.